this, bro. The beef combined with ghee and also like raw egg yolks. This is my diet as a teenager, trying to improve their diet, trying to being optimal. Which basically, number one, I will have a glass of milk. This, as you can see. Usually I get raw milk, but this time, during the Ramadan, the farm that I used to buy is already closed, which basically I don't have a chance to buy the raw milk because it opens after the Ramadan is finished. So basically during the Ramadan I just consuming pasteurized milk. But the thing is, ideally you should got raw milk or raw dairy like raw cheese, raw yogurt. All of them must be raw. It is because, and just not raw only. Of course, you want high quality. You want the cow. They are not being vaccinated. They are not like eating grains, eating slop. The cow are treated well. They get sun exposure. They're eating grass. Of course, we want a healthy cow. But the thing is, ideally you should get a healthy cow, and also they are like raw dairy. So basically, why is that? It is because, for example, IGF-1, which basically, if you're in a development, you're still growing, you should get IGF-1 during the in the raw dairy, and raw dairy very high, very rich in IGF-1, which basically actually is a cheat code if you want to grow taller. Which basically you're still in development. For example, it's like 21 years old below. Of course, there are people already like close plates, like 18 years old, 19 years old. But the thing is, keep it simple. If you're still teenager, you're still developing, like mostly like 20, 21 years old, below 21 years old, you should get a lot of like raw dairy. Why is that? It is because it's very nutrient rich. You should basically the very high quality protein, and also it's like there's a vitamin K2, which basically the MK4 version, very essential for your bone, which basically it has like essential nutrients. IGF-1, which basically can stimulating you to grow much more taller. And in my situation right now, I have a pasteurized milks, right? Of course, the nutrients will be reduced. Like for example, it's like vitamin B1 to 12 got reduced because they're very sensitive to the heat. And also IGF-1 also, which basically is very crucial if you want to grow taller, also got reduced because you know high pasteurized milk reduce IGF-1 like 90%. Like low pasteurized, like low temperature of pasteurized reduce like 30 or 40%. And if you go raw, you get like 100% of IGF-1 that you could get, which basically IGF-1 B vitamins like vitamin C, literally B vitamins like vitamin B1 to 12, like folates, are very sensitive to the heat. So basically, if you cook this milk, you get the milk that have been pasteurized, that have been like heated at like high temperature, which basically denature the protein. All the vitamins just gone. But of course, fat soluble vitamins, which basically much stable, of course they're still in there. But the thing is, if you want to far more nutritious, ideally get raw dairy. Then after that, I will have this. This the yellow thing is a ghee, and the red thing, of course, is a ruminant animals like buffalo. And I have a raw egg yolk here. I don't know if you can see, man. Fuck, bro. There you are. You can see, bro. There's an egg yolk, bro. Which basically ghee has like The difference of ghee and butter, if you the ghee is there's no water, there's no milk solids rather than butter. Butter has like water and also milk solids, which basically there has casein. Ghee doesn't have casein, and the smoke point and the ghee has also like have a higher smoke point. But the thing is, of course, cooking food aren't like optimal because when you're like cooking food, it reduce the nutrients. It is because they're very sensitive to the nutrients. Like vitamin C is really sensitive to the heat, B vitamins, and so on. But other than that, like I mean, ghee just like pure fat. And of course, there's essential nutrients like vitamin A, D3, K2, E also. But other than that, it's very nutritious. And of course, if you want to avoid casein protein, which basically can be inflammatory if you have a leaky gut, and most people do, by the way, it is because they eating like normal diet, they eating like beans, like have a lectins, which basically lectins is an anti-nutrients can be found is like can the lectins foods can be found like tomatoes, potatoes, and so on, which basically can disrupt your gut, which basically you have a leaky gut. I mean, if you want have a no casein protein, or you want there's no milk solid, there's no water, ghee is a better option. Of course, butter and ghee, just all of them is nutritious, especially like raw butter. And beef, as I show you the beef, right? We're gonna talk this all we have in this, which basically beef has every single nutrients in it, all of them. Like for example, it has like B12, and your brain needs a lot of like B12 per day. Literally, your brain needs a lot of it, and you only can be found in animals' product B12. Other than that, like there's a carnitine, anserine, creatine, taurine, which can be found in animals' product. This type of food, like vitamin A in a retinol form, D3, K2, EPA, DHA, conjugated linoleic acids, biotin, heme iron, all of them, like the 26 compounds that are essential or beneficial, they only can be found in animals' product, which basically you cannot found in any plant's foods. You know, B12 is an essential nutrient. Our body needs it, which basically you cannot find in any plant's foods. It only available in the animal's product food. For example, it's like ruminant animals, raw milk, whatever it is, right? As long as it comes from animals, oyster, whatever it is. But I want to make you understand that a lot of like study that you saw, like a lot of like study that you saw, like high consumption of red meat is danger for you. But the thing is, all of them like association study. You can see my channel, you can see my videos about association about the red meat. Just look at my channel. Other than that, so basically beef has like every single nutrients in it. And the third, which basically egg yolk, which I already showed you earlier, right? Egg yolk, it is very rich in vitamin A, very nutrient rich. But the thing is, mine is low quality. It is because in my place, which I live in Malaysia, it's pretty hard to find a like pasteurized eggs, literally. Pasteurized eggs, specifically the eggs like spending outside, eating worms, eating bugs, something like it, which basically their natural diet. But mine is just like conventional eggs, which basically the type of eggs that hens eating grains on soy, which basically these two are very high in lilic acids. Which basically, if you have a too much of lilic acid, it can store in your skin, and basically it will be oxidized to the sun. And the thing is, The lilic acids in the egg yolk, was, which basically the conventional egg yolk, still higher than we are adapted to, which basically humans are only adapted to 2% of lilic acids. But egg yolks, which basically the conventional eggs, can be up to like 14%, 15%, which is still high than we are adapted to. And of course, it's very nutrient rich, but the problem is if you can get a pasteurized, if you can get pasture raised eggs or pasture raised chicken, that's good for you, which basically, even though we are not adapted to eating chicken, but it's very nutritious compared to the people who eating like slop, like grains and so on, like vegetable. There are people like, sorry, there are people, bro, eating this, bro, for their foods, bro. You want to know, bro, this a lot of like oxalates, a lot of like destitute of 26 compounds that are essential or beneficial that cannot be found in animals' product. Hey, sorry. Man, fuck me. That cannot be found in plants' foods. Which basically they're destitute of nutrients, and also they give you oxalate, which basically it puts Liam Hemsworth to the hospital because he drink green smoothie every single day in high amount, which basically they have a severe kidney stones. A lot of like anti-nutrients, not essential, destitute, oxalates, whatever bullshit it is. And other than that, it's not essential at all, literally, and we are not adapted to it. How long our gene has been exposed to the broccoli? Like 2000 years ago, which basically is a fake man-made plants. Rather than we have a rather than ruminant animals, which basically like mammoths, megafauna, we've been like eating ruminant animals, red meat, for 4.5 million years ago, which basically stabilized acetopanalysis already proved this, which is a very accurate assessment. Like this how we thrive during the ice age. This how Homo sapiens, which we are currently we are, as you may know, can survive until this now, which basically it is because we're eating the type of foods that has essential nutrients that we are adapted to. Look at our physiology. We are sorry, man, fuck me. Look at our physiology. Look at our like stomach acids, which basically literally similar to the like carnivore animals like lion, tiger, and so on. Look at the hyenas. Their stomach acid, literally, we are higher than them, and so on, right? And after that, I have bro, my camera just died, man. Okay, let's continue, bro. Alright, now we have eggs, as you can see. Oh my, the lightning span. There's egg yolks over there. There's egg yolks, which basically, okay, eggs is a very perfect fat and protein ratio, which basically we don't want like eating too much protein and low amount of fat, and also we don't want like too much of high fat but low in protein, which basically like ground beef like 80 to 20, ribeye ribeye steak, and also like eggs are very like perfect ratio of fats and also proteins, as you may know. But other than that, which basically the thing is, if you want to consuming eggs, make sure it's like pasteurized eggs. Mine is like low quality, which basically have a high of lilic acids. But other than that, like much higher in lilic acids. And if you like wanted to consuming eggs, make sure you have to like cooking the white part of the eggs, which basically it is because the white part of the eggs has like four anti-nutrients. One is like avidin, which basically can bind the biotin. And second is like ovomucoid, ovotransferrin, and ovostatin, which basically these three has like was trips and inhibitors, which basically they are lowering the protein digestibility, which basically there's no reason for doing that. But of course, raw egg yolks doesn't have any like anti-nutrients, so it's like perfect for you, especially if you like not cooking the raw egg yolk. It is because, as I talked earlier, raw egg yolk has like compounds that are very like heat sensitive. So basically you want to make the, ideally you consuming like raw egg yolk, or you just like keep the egg yolks, which basically the yellow part of the eggs or orange, keep them still in runny, which basically is far more nutritious. Which basically the perfect way to do this is like sunny side up eggs. This the perfect for it. But the white part, make sure you cook it like truly, literally. It is because you want to denature the protein. It is because they have like anti-nutrients, which can lower the protein absorption. And but the thing is, if you like consuming like four above raw eggs, for example, you're consuming like five raw eggs, six raw eggs, seven raw eggs, whatever it is. But the thing is, you exceed the four, right? So basically, you shouldn't get worried about the biotin. It is because the white part of the eggs, the evidence. Guys, I'm truly apologize, guys. Literally, like already second time my camera died. Okay, back to the topic, which basically the eggs, right? It only like binds 20% of the biotin, which basically you don't need to worry it at all. Which basically, if you're consuming like five raw eggs, which basically exceed the four, you don't need to worry about you don't need to worry about biotin. It is because it only like bind to 20%. But other than that, of course, why not just cooking the white part, which basically at the same time when you're like consuming raw egg yolk, it lower the protein digestibility. So ideally just cook the white parts, even though you want to consuming raw eggs. But the thing is, it's not optimal, but you can do, you can do if you want. But the thing is, make sure you're consuming like four and a four and above of the raw eggs. For example, you're consuming like five raw eggs, then you will be fine. And I mean that's it. And we're gonna go to the next one, which basically this you can see, bro, is a blood. Which basically this blood comes from ruminant animals, like from my beef. And also there's a inside of it there's a raw liver, which basically is a ruminant liver. And a lot of like people worry that if you like consuming raw liver, they worry about like hypervitaminosis of vitamin A. But the thing is, there's no like case report of like people consuming ruminant animals liver from the, literally they don't have like symptoms of hypervitaminosis. There's no case report before. It only happens to the people consuming like sub in a supplement form, which basically they get the vitamin A in a supplement form. There's no case report of ruminant animals, which basically in my case is a ruminant animals, which basically a beef liver, right? Sorry. And it, yeah, so basically it only happens to the people consuming like supplement form. And the second is the people consuming like polar bear liver, which basically polar bear liver has like millions of IU in a vitamin A in a retinol form. So basically if you like consuming polar bear liver, which basically not realistically, you will get exceed of hypervitaminosis of vitamin A in a retinal form, which basically it has like millions of IU, right? But ruminant animals like buffalo, cows, you don't need to worry about the vitamin A of the hypervitaminosis. The thing is, you should worry just like the copper toxicity, the heavy metals, which basically, of course, don't eat too much of raw liver. Specifically, you just like eat small amount of it. You can see my video that I eat raw liver. There's a thumbnail that says raw liver. You should ideally eating like that amount per day.